Disney Star Wars is truly something amazing, a modern marvel of how the most iconic, legendary film franchise is now just a bunch of streaming shows that nobody even realized released. Most of the franchise's desecration happened years ago on the big screen. But after almost all those failed and Disney became too scared to release anything else in theaters, they spent the last 6 years releasing some of the most stimulating Star Wars storytelling on Disney Plus. Such fine works such as The Book of Boba Fett, The Sisterhood of the Invincible Stomachs, Lizzo and Jack Black's Baby Yoda Daycare, and The Acolyte.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
I can't watch anymore.
And after a steady decrease in ratings and increase in fan apathy, Disney decided to grace us with Skeleton Crew, an 8-episode show following a band of kids going on a wholesome adventure to learn the meaning of bravery, friendship, and adventure. And because Skeleton Crew is not as bad as all those other shows Disney spewed out onto Disney Plus, you would guess that Star Wars would be making a comeback. Yet, Skeleton Crew is now the worst performing Star Wars show on the platform, somehow gathering in 20% less viewership than our previous biggest loser. That show that was about the moral ambiguity of being seduced by a Sith Lord so that you can kill your dad and live happily ever after. The Acolyte. But how can that be? How is Skeleton Crew doing even worse than The Acolyte? Some will point out that its failing is because it's just a dumb show made for kids, but the most successful, highest grossing movie of 2024 was also a dumb show made for kids. And Inside Out 2 wasn't a fluke either, as Moana 2 and Despicable Me 4 were both just a smidge away from being billion-dollar films. So it can't be that Skeleton Crew failed because kids are just too busy playing Fortnite to watch anything, or that family content is unable to achieve high viewership. Instead, the answer as to why Skeleton Crew earned abysmal ratings are twofold. First is that Skeleton Crew's failure is the direct consequence of Disney Star Wars tainting their own brand to the point that fans have zero trust in the studio producing anything worthwhile. Especially after they just saw the dumpster fire of The Acolyte. Because in Hollywood, we have a bit of a trend going on where the quality and success of one project impacts the next, for better or for worse. Like if we think back to 2018 with Avengers Infinity War, which made $2 billion at the box office, was loved by fans, and had earned their trust, its successor, even though it was Captain Marvel, was still able to rake in $1 billion. Or maybe for another example that sticks closer to home with Star Wars, think back to how the magical and beautiful Last Jedi had corroded fan loyalty, desecrated the fandom, caused Solo to flop, and Rise of Skywalker end up with half the audience that The Force Awakens did. Whew. So, if the success of one project bleeds into the next, does that mean that there is no possible way for Skeleton Crew to have succeeded? Does that mean that Skeleton Crew is not to blame for their own failures? Well, Skeleton Crew, it may not be as stinky as The Acolyte or The Book of Boba Fett, and Skeleton Crew does have some fun moments, but the show is still filled with some shallow characters, pointless scenes. It has some great ideas in there, but just doesn't execute them well at all. And probably most importantly, the show is just nowhere near the quality of the original trilogy. So overall, the show does not do enough to help its case. Yet, if Skeleton Crew was not just meh, but an absolute excellent show supported by strong writing and production, it could have easily been a hit. And it really isn't all that unconceivable for Skeleton Crew to be a success through merit, because you just need to think back to one of the biggest successes in TV last year, The Penguin. Because in 2022, The Batman was received somewhat warmly and did okay at the box office, so you'd expect their successor to have the same middling success as well. But because The Penguin was a certified masterclass of writing and acting, viewers were gripped, word of mouth spread about the show, and it became one of the biggest hits of the year and received critical acclaim on top of that. So even though Skeleton Crew was a show geared towards kids, if it was an excellent show, it could have overcome the mountains of sludge that Disney slapped on their shoulders. But instead, nobody has and nobody will remember Skeleton Crew, and Disney Star Wars will continue to crush dreams, make children cry, and go down the tubes.
Thanks for watching
DUCKFINDER
on YouTube. For more premium content, subscribe.